13 to
They
9,
Yep.
but it was NRG 13 to 7 on Dust 2 and the Anubis to close with the 13-10 coming through. So maybe Getting Info been stewing on that loss, thinking about that loss. It's always tough to play the same team on the same map pool. Curious to see what Getting Info is going to deploy here and if they're going to have any tricks up their sleeve to handle what NRG throws at them.
Yeah, I guess we're going to find out very shortly as we're jumping into a map number 1 here of Dust 2, Mike. It should be interesting to see who's going to pull off this one. Yeah.
Quintessential Carson.
Mm-hmm.
He's already pushing up mid, John.
That is Carson's bread and butter. It is his style of pushing mid on every single map. If there's a mid, which there is on every map, he is pushing it.
I'm trying to think if there's a map without a mid.
Maybe Nuke?
Yeah, I guess it's a hut push.
Yeah.
Is the equivalent.
It's the same.
Which he's also not a stranger to. Look at this, though. Because of this heavy thrust up catwalk, there's a lot of space out towards long, and that's the space that NRG are going to take. Smoke's over. A smoke for the cross, one for catwalk as well. Means that this is going to be a bit of a tough fight for Getting Info. They'll attempt the spam. Molotov's going out ahead of that smoke. It does, in fact, blossom, but clipping too much of the smoke, it extinguishes. So, not so effective. But the site is still very much theirs. Bomb going to get planted on down. Nothing that can be done about this. And with this long control, they've got very good post-plant positions. They still have Hex in lower. Here's the rotation. Eventually, Hex is going to strike here.
What?
Oh, my goodness. They have no clue. Provided his teammates can hold up, provide any resistance, they're doing a good job of that. Hex is going to have a lot of backs turned. Here comes the flank. Here comes the execution. Hex, he's up above the stairs. Collects on one eventually. But it's out of the 2v2, and they are just running out of time. If they pull this diffuser off, it's over. Shane cannot sneak that one through.
Wow, Hex, honestly, a little bit scary when you see him going for that approach on the flank because you thought he could have activated a little bit sooner. I guess it makes sense for him not to get too excited about firing before they push up cap because it limits him to one frag and they know exactly where he's coming from, so it'll be a little more difficult for him. So he waits, he goes up, and finally they engage with the rest of his team, and it got, like, you know, a couple of frags are in there, trades back and forth, so Hex had to be quick, but he did manage to get it done. Great effort from Shane just to try and stick the defusal in the smoke, but there were just too many bullets coming his way, and he couldn't do it. Smoke thrown towards long, and a flashbang from OC takes care of Carson, thanks to Hex bullets finishing the job.
Nice to see Hex get off to a hot start. Had a quieter series by his standards last night, and he tweeted about it as well. Couldn't shoot a thing today. Sag. Good thing we have Captain America on our side. Well, he'll need the captain in this round, but he's already done his work. He got his entry. And Bro has had a little desk pop. The classic hit the keyboard with your mouse, if I had to guess. Now clean up on aisle site. Shane, a little late with that smoke, costs most of his health, but he'll try and maneuver out and into a swift death. Courtesy Bro. So Marky gets one here. That would be nice, but it will not be a possibility.
Yeah, no chance. Bro taking care of business here on this anti-force buy. And it'll be 2-0 in favor of NRG. Yeah, pretty much business as usual for NRG. I like the flash at the beginning thrown by OC to support Hex. You're going to see it here. And then after that, great shot from Dia at the very least to try and make something happen, and the tag afterwards. But that was the only real piece in the round for Getting Info, and after he falls, NRG is able to close the gap fairly quickly, and they isolate those 5-7s with some good utility as well. The smoke on the sites in particular, or the smokes on the site in particular. Hex and OC just walking out here. I mean, this is an anti-eco now, so this is just an absolute slaughter. They're abusing long right now, Mike, just going out straight up with flashes and smokes.
Yeah, small sample size. Yeah. But at least this time, Getting Info had the idea to throw a little bit of a nade stack. Players got mostly ahead of it. And so the USPs could not clean up the damage that they had done. For your NRG, yeah, maybe it's just against pistols not last, but you are very happy to stack the cash. And at this point, the billfold is bursting for NRG.
Oh, yeah.
Dia's got an op, though.
He does, and he is very good with that op. Dia is certainly one of, I would say, in the top 5 for opping in ECL without really breaking a sweat. So he is no slouch to turning rounds around by his lonesome. He will be playing, I think, towards long. Yeah, he's at the long position. So that's Marky at mid, and Marky's already backing off. He runs into the door, has to get behind it quickly because pressure's on. They're pinching into the B side. Oh my goodness, Marky, along with Carson, are in for a world of hurt. Great Molotov thrown as well. Nitro's actually down to 1 HP, and there's a battle happening, I believe, in mid through the smokes, and it looks like it will help getting info. Get the edge. Carson and Marky hold their own, Mike, and the round's already over.
That it is. Timely mid presence. And a good hold from the site players. A little bit disjointed pass from NRG. I like the idea of the chained Molotovs to force Marky out. And they seem to have the ideas that came through the smoke, but maybe a missing flashbang there. He had vision. Some extra element to that particular puzzle. It was the bonus round, so there were some limitations. Maybe with the AKs, those quick headshots would have been a difference maker. That's what you'd be telling yourselves if you're NRG.
I would say so, but at the same time, I think Getting Info were just doing a good job applying pressure from CT and reading the play, so that's what created a little bit of discord in the ranks for NRG.
Make the chase. D is getting the heck out of dodge. Understandably so. And they will fill the space that he has vacated. Went for a cheeky duel early on. Wanted to see if he could find the AWPer. Then swung from lower. How has that shot missed?
Oh, no.
Through the knees of Bro. And now, this round might just be over. This is very tough. If the long player catches Shane here, it's a save. Even without it, this is a tough ask on the retake. Full cat control, full mid presence here from Hex.
No, they're saving.
They want nothing to do with this.
There's no point. And this is what I was talking about yesterday, Mike, saying that Dust 2 has become a lot like Inferno. Once the sites are taking, a save is pretty much called just because there's so much space to cover. And oftentimes you just can't get back in, especially if util's limited. This time they have the util, but the problem was the positioning, honestly. Those three players leaning towards mid, and then Shane over at long, who couldn't really do much because it was planted for cat. Yeah, makes sense to wait for the next round.
So punt on this. Keep the economy relatively healthy on the Getting Info side. The AWP can't be retrieved, though. That's a problem. No one can reinvest into that, so Dia's AWP presence is nerfed for one round at least, which I think NRG are going to be all too happy about.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That shot just went wide. It's
Did he get aim punched? It went like it went just over the thigh.
It might have been the aim punch that hit him as he was shooting, which is the worst for oppers, honestly. It's very frustrating, but yeah, that's what happened. So, OC does have the big green in his hands. Standard boost here in dark, and won't really yield anything, as Getting Info aren't going to challenge towards mid. They're actually sending a lot of presence at long, and they've got that util down already. NRG not going for that fast play this time, and are taking their time with their approach. They're playing defaults at this point, and OC's just hoping someone will peek around mid. That said, it's been smoked now, so he'll probably have to move up with the rest of his team to see some targets.
Once again, Catwalk's been conceded. Getting Info have not had much of an appetite for squabbling for this beyond an early peak. There was some nade damage from the CT player to try and harass and harry. Does find some chip damage on Bro, but nothing catastrophic. Still a minute to play with, so NRG are taking their time, letting some of this smokage fade off. Look at Carson. You know he's thinking about it. You know he's thinking about the long push.
He always is.
He'll back away from the doors, so at least for the moment it's going to stall. But with that lurk smoke thrown on towards Catwalk, the carpet, it's a little bit of a fake here. And indeed, that's going to trigger the mid-split in towards B. Nice find on Nitro. Dia catches him dropping down, but the trade is there. No smoke for the cross? Oh, I think they might have fumbled the smokes that they thought were coming through. Expecting a waterfall. Osu's found some damage, but a resmoke on, and he's lost his tunnels player. Where do you go? There's only 20 seconds for this. There's no chance. That feels like a fumble through from NRG. They clearly had the idea of going for the catwalk drop. I don't know whether one of those cat smokes was designed to waterfall, but whatever it was a missing element, and leaving themselves exposed to the CT and long players. was disastrous.
Yeah, they definitely fumbled some sort of utility there. There's no question. The fact that they're going out to, even they were surprised, right? It felt like they came out like, whoa, what's going on? Why do they have visibility on us? And the bodies kept falling. Unfortunate for NRG, but getting info, got to be happy with the result there. That said, it's going to be another full buy. Oh, blinded and all. Dia hits one and Shane the follow-up. They try to get out towards long to NRG, but they're being stuffed right down into the ground, and they will have to back off here and just fight their way out. They're going to choose fight their way out. Bro will get a headshot. Shane comes right on back and drops Nitro.
There's a flashes coming in from Fang to support his teammate. A little bit drained on them, so Shane's going to have to throw his own, and that proves a problem.
Wow.
As does Bro. Now they got a minute 15. They've got time. They can cook here. Bro's trying to exert presence here out towards long, convince them that they are, in fact, headed up towards A, but I'm not quite convinced just yet. Okay, they would double back into it. So this does seem like it's going to be the commit. OC worked in towards the pit. It's a great position if you already have the site. But I think what he's hoping right now is that if enough time goes through, they're going to come looking. Problem is, Carson's position in middle means that Marky can be pretty confident that they haven't shifted out along. I think there may have been a slim window if they had rotated all the way through T-spawn. But at this point, enough time has passed that Carson has a pretty good idea that he's got this contained. The flip side of that is Marky's in a 1v2.
Pretty much, and he's behind the smoke at CT. So this is a bomb plant, probably. Okay, why did they wait so long to cross? What?
Wanted to fight. Wanted to duel, trusted their own guns, and it cost them. Missed shot for OC. The rifle couldn't trade. That is going to be a frustrating one for OC and for NRG. That's a good old-fashioned whiff.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the general concept behind it, to wait and take those duels and try to get the advantage going onto the sites, but they had so much time. The smoke was perfect. No one was nearby. Just go to the site and plant the bomb and take the after-plant fights instead of trying to do that. But, well, there were multiple options, and they chose the wrong one. Getting info. Now in an anti-eco situation, Carson, you know he wants to push. You know in his head it's always like, oh, God, let's go push. Let's go find fights. But he's not going to. Dia going to get the opening frag onto Bro. And this one will probably be a non-starter, Mike.
Yeah, we wouldn't imagine much. There's no utility for this. They're just going to come through with the pistols. If they challenge the rifle here, Fang will feast. If not him, Marky behind. There's one. There's two. And a feast is, in fact, on deck. Feeding Frenzy. Ecos on the menu. Num, 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 num. Everyone loves some delicious ecos. Maybe a little bit too much there for Fang. Out of bullets. You need the bullets to season your ecos. Carson. Look, they're not going to lose this round, but there's just no reason to lose any bodies at this point. And there's another one. Can Nitro find a third? No, not quite.
All right, well, a couple of casualties. Not the end of the world here for getting info. But overall, a clear-cut anti-eco. And you see here just Fang overstepping a little bit, and Carson did eventually push, but a little too far into Nitro's crosshair. As a timeout's going to be called here by getting info, actually. Maybe just to discuss what they want to do into this next gun round. How they want to approach it. NRG like to lean into long a lot. I think getting info probably have that read, so they're probably deciding how many bodies they want to commit to long in the early goings of the round to get that util out. Imagine they don't really change the formula. Send three players long, get that util out, and then back one off towards the A side or two.
Has been working. Has been working, but this time, posturing the players, this might be a fast beat. Looks like Tunnel's control is on the menu. He's still holding his presence in towards long, counting the numbers. May not have had full vision. But Carson is playing close to this.
Look at this aggression, Mike.
Yeah, straight up middle. It's a lot of information. There's two players here to defend, and one lower as well. So quickly, this forward positioning could become a bit of a trap. If one piece of this triangle setup for getting info falls, the rest are going to be a touch compromised. And as the util comes through, it does seem like it's going to be threatened. Do they realize how far up Fang is? Oh boy, this is going to catch them off guard. No idea there for Nitro. And now with that first piece off the board, it's chaos in the ranks. It's pandemonium here. OC, not quite sure where Fang's gotten to. But I have to solve the puzzle of Fang before they can think about getting towards the site. You can see Hex is coming back around to do so. It's going to whittle so much time off the clock. Fang's doing a great job of just staying alive and being a nuisance here. But OC eventually is going to be able to pluck him off of the skin of NRG. Still, whatever the initial plan was, it's not what they're doing right now. This is very much adjusting on the fly. Now that they've found Fang, trying to take this space, and that's a massive kill to find. Dia just caught slipping. Pulls out the remaining utility from Shane. He's actually got quite a bit in terms of nades, but the bulk of this presence is coming up long, and he was not positioned for it. Now, provided they can cross that bomb. Smoke's not great. Smoke's not great. And it's going to cost Hex his life, but the bomb made it over. Shouldn't afford the chance at the retake, though. Carson and Markey, they're going to give this a look. Bro holds control towards mid. Carson doesn't seem like he's too eager about it. Wary that alert could be coming through. But Markey is already making his move. As he duels off with OC, that's a hell of a shot, but a trade is quick. Carson's just out of time. He's out of time. He's got that kit, but bro never expected him to be here. Fortunately, George was prepared. That could have been the blunder that lost them the round. Getting ahead of yourselves, looking for the op before you'd actually secured the dub.
Yeah, there's still a couple of seconds for Carson there. So if he quickly flicks around, then he'll be able to get that defusal. So a bit of a scary moment for NRG. But look at this work from Fang. Honestly, getting that top mid control, no idea from Nitro at all that he was there. So that was the first one, but OC had to have his head on a swivel. Even when Fang came around that corner, OC wasn't expecting the timing, and then he quickly flicked back and said, whoa, hold on a second. How did he get around there without me even realizing that he was going to take that peek? So yeah, eventually OC has to lock him down. He calls for Hex to support him, and well, we're already into the action here. Dia has got the opening op frag onto George. It's just great work from NRG adapting on the fly. Like you said, Mike, going away from their initial plan, which was leaning in towards mid, and then grouping up for a long hit that ended up working perfectly thanks to Bro's frag on Cat. Then there's Shane looking at Cat because of the amount of presence that Bro has there, and there's three players that just have visibility on him, and the bullets just tear right through him. So NRG lose the first one in this round thanks to a nice sharp shot from Dia. Carson sees the util, throws the smoke, has the MP9, should be able to do some damage. No, nothing. Hex jumping through the air, manages to find him. Now it's up to Markey, who also only gets one. Trade is good. Fang up close and personal, maybe? He falls down. They hear him. They know he's there, but Fang wants to wait for reinforcements.
They got some Molotovs for this. Incendiaries, rather, so slightly less effective. But the utility's faded away for NRG. There's one more Molly in the hands of Hex, backside. If a Molly comes his way, he's in trouble. Without a smoke, this is tough to defend. And yeah, they're lining it up. Time's getting short. They don't have kits, John. Oof, wait a little late to have no kits. And oh, Shane can't finish his food. OC out of play, but Dia knows he just doesn't have the clock for this round.
I mean, at the very least, man, these rounds have been close, right? I mean, the duels, the aim duels have been crazy, and the trade strong for both sides. But you see right at the end, Dia takes so much damage before he gets that frag that he really has no chance of getting back in there. Not to mention the bomb was already ticking down to its very last second. So very nice take by NRG. Fang, you know he wanted to have a peek in there. You know he was thinking about getting aggressive, but just the odds of success with the rest of his team weren't good. And then, like you mentioned, they waited and waited and waited, and maybe they realized the last second they didn't have a kit, so they kind of panicked as they executed inwards, and well, the end result is no time. And Dia fades away with the op in his hands, and now he'll push mid. This is super aggressive with the op in his hands. Top mid here, no way they're going to expect that. Oh my goodness, but he's looking the wrong way, and OC finds one. Then gets some damage onto Carson. He'll join his teammates into long, getting info a little too eager to push mid there. At least Dia was.
Needed to do something spicy, right? It was the one op. Very little arrayed around it. Carson, though, gets that up over and puts his teammate down.
Why?
Goodbye, Fang.
Is that just like
A little bit of an
unfortunate?
issue there. I'd imagine Fang strafed into that crosshair last
I
moment.
hope so.
So they did get one kill with the USP. But the name of the game is now save. Look, you know, Carson is not a leader who deals with insubordination. You step out of line when he makes the call, and he's going to put you
over.
down.
Goodness me. Nah, it had to just be like a lineup that he had, and then Fang was in an unfortunate
Roll
spot.
through fear, John. Through fear. Might as well. Got a pistol.
Why not? Shane has a nade, though. You got to save that. $300.
Big money. Big spender. I mean, look, this is the last round of the half. Every dollar they can squeeze out of this, ring in the washcloth for all the juices available to them because they need every penny. You can see how much they're plumbing the depths. D is the only player who has any spare capital, and, well, I'd imagine he might want a deagle. Or maybe he already has one. Dualies he's got. He's got the dualies.
Going for the duels.
That's what you need. Yeah, he may not have two of these, but he does have one op, and that one op is going to connect. They want to take the space, though.
What a
That is a
trade.
madcap peek from Hext. Chasing down that op and not allowing him to escape. Wild on. Now, I think at the cross-smoke setup, there's no player playing up on the site, so it's going to be trouble for Shane and Marky. They might want to get up the new boxes for that fast cat spacing. Hex is wary about playing anti-flash here. Now with that smoke up, they're going to take this ground. The flashback through comes in, but Marky caught the edge of it, so it cost him. Shane blind firing through the smoke, happens to find the line. Might be time to buy some scratch off, Shane, because that is a lot of luck coming your way. Pros gain the site, though. Shane's still down. Fang is going for a late, long flank. And OC seems to have an inkling that there could be problems on the horizon. Shane, he distracts. Right now, OC might actually be wondering, but Shane's got the same idea. Why haven't they planted? Needed Jean for a little bit of harassment. Just keeping the focus, though. OC turns his head in time, but he can't get the kill. Bro, though, has no such problem. 30 seconds, hasn't planted the bomb, so the timer's not in his favor, but Bro is taking some different angles to this particular fight. Now realizing how far Shane's backed away, he's still sticking on the fight, he's still sticking on the duel, and somehow he will be rewarded for it. It's a substantial lead for NRG as we head to the half. into the server. NRG double up the scoreline of getting info, but some of those rounds a little tenuous. Question is, can getting info change the stack so that they go their way? It's a fast play out towards long, and OC is out of there. Did not fancy a face in towards absolutely everybody from getting info, so he will back away and set some teammates up to duel with him.
That is the right decision, after all. Nitro's got a flashbang, a pop flash, in fact, ready to be thrown here as soon as they come around, but OC doesn't want it, doesn't need it. He's just going to hit the headshots anyway. Fang manages to get the trade afterwards, but they're a man down, and now they're panicking to try and get out. There's that pop flash. Nitro's so good at throwing. He's going to get another one out here in just a little bit to try and force getting info back, and there it goes. So getting info don't actually aggress further because of the amount of pressure NRG are applying.
They've drawn the 2 pop flashes out. That's nice at least. But all 3 players were seen here. So they have confirmation now that the lurk smoke's been thrown, or rather the cross smoke, sorry. This becomes tough. George, fortunate I think to get one. But actually, a united front. The car player was dealt with. But the high-low peak from George and Bro proved too much to handle. So pistol round going their way. NRG now have a very clean path to this dub.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were talking about it in the green room in the break, but honestly, the fact is it could have been a tied half or even a lead for getting info, given the way that first half played out. There we had some very close rounds, like the 1v1s, a couple of 1v1s, in fact, in a row. But NRG continued to win the tight rounds, and that's really the difference maker here in this one. That pistol round being clean, certainly going to give them a boost in confidence. And of course, now getting info, not finding the bomb plant will not be forcing up. Just the Glocks here, waiting for a push to come through. I would be shocked if NRG chose to take an aggressive path here. I think they're just going to wait out getting info. Just a very bog standard 2-1-2.
See if Fang can make any magic happen here. Playing behind the pack. Pack's moving into the tunnels. Now onto the catwalk. They're taking their time with this one, hoping that somebody overextends, and it will be the Deagle on point. So maybe a ripper of a headshot on towards ramp could give us a little bit of excitement into this round, but, well, no. Not in the hands of Fang, at least. Not in the hands of just about anybody. A Glock kill for Marky. Nitro seems to have a little bit of a DC issue there. Unfortunate time for a touch of the lag. But let's see if they can still regain. What are they looking at? Marky is punishing them for looking away from him. But somehow Hex pulls this one out of the flames.
Yeah, something happened to Nitro for sure. I'm not sure if he lagged out or something, got an alt tab. Who knows what happened, but yeah, that was a little too easy for getting info with the Glocks.
I mean, 4 kills in a bomb plant, they will take that every day of the week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Would love the round win, but they'll take it.
Didn't even need the Deagle in the end, Mike. It was the Glocks, in fact, doing all of that damage. NRG still get a 10th. They're up to double digits, and they're probably happy that they're in a good spot with a 6-round lead, but here's the timeout call to talk things over. OC will still have the AWP, but there are limitations here, Mike, as you would expect.
Where do they put OC? That's the big question here with that AWP. Where do you move that chess piece around? Because, yes, they're now brittle, John. Getting info can crack the eco, but if NRG can hold up in this one, well, getting info are just running out of rounds.
I mean, OC loves to play mid, and it would surprise me if he doesn't. He's got a bit of a duel going on here with Dia, potentially? No, there's no way. Dia's just setting up util. He only has the AK. I don't think he wants anything to do with that fight.
They're going for a double tunnels push. OC's supporting it right now with some utility, but now that they've got the tunnels control, OC's going to come right off of it, and these players are presumably going to shift quickly. Nitro just got an MP9 to defend this.
Yeah, OC's already leaving.
Needs a reinforcement, and that's what OC is coming to do. They're getting some verticality, they're getting some altitude, and as the tunnels players realize they're seeing nothing in middle, well, at some point they're going to realize that there is just nothing here to defend. The op starts to collect, kills out. Cat player is strong, but OC needs to connect some of these shots, and eventually Carson gets close enough that he can overwhelm. There's still bodies enough to defend this. But they're stuck at catwalk, and they need some kills to open back up. Carson, through the smoke, does get spotted, and Nitro's closed the distance. It's just Marky. Marky is quite low, exposed. Does he realize how close Nitro is? Top of the boxes. There's the spot. Nitro's got the kill. Op can be retrieved. And NRG, it's again a tentative, tenuous round, but it is a round they win nonetheless.
Yeah, another 1v1 round victory, right? We saw a few of them in that first half, and now we got already one here in the second half to make it 11-4. Very, very dicey. One player who we already talked about at the beginning that didn't perform well yesterday was Hex, and he is delivering as promised today, because that was 2 frags that came through that if they don't, I think Getting Info get that round. Afterwards, Nitro, just his position completely unknown, is able to get verticality and will eventually win that round. Bro, auto shotty, lower, auto shotty, dead. Carson also gets the follow-up on Hex as well, as Hex was trying to support Bro, so that is a bit of a problem. At least the Molotov from Nitro gets 1 frag, Mike, but it's still a man advantage for Getting Info in a round where, again, their investment is kind of limited. OC does even the numbers.
It does, but here's the thing. OC's alone with an op. And if you swarm him with the pistols, with the XM, that op could find a target-rich environment. Double push-up tunnels might make this a moot point, as they've now found the flank. They're just a hair behind it, but they're going to be quick into it. And I don't know if Getting Info are going to be prepared for how rapidly these players are coming out the tons.
Yeah, I think OC was trying to attract attention there by jumping up to window, and he wants to do it again. Nitro? No, yeah, they don't have any clue, Mike. Dio's gone, and Nitro gets the follow-up. Only 1 left, and you'd imagine that Marky's not long for this world, although he does get one onto OC. Nitro looking for that final target. Can he find it? Sees the shadow, takes care of business. 4K for the IGL here of NRG, and a 12th round secured.
Locking it down. Looked a little shaky. A lot of these individual rounds since the half has have looked shaky at times. Getting Info have had their opportunities, but they've just been unable to push these things over the line. Now they're going to have a full buy. They will have the money with the investment coming through, but they have to run 8 rounds in a row. So even if they can get it started here. Actually, look at this. Look at this. NRG deploying a little bit of a mixed buy of their own. Bro's gone towards the XM. Again. Okay, they do invest in the rifles around it. For a moment, I thought they were playing a half buy, which would have been kind of insane at this point in time.
Well, they don't need to as well, so it would have been weird.
Look at Bro with the XM. The push in towards tunnels. Is he going to find this kill? Absolutely not. Carson is familiar with that maneuver.
Oh, yeah, of course he is. I'm sure he's tried it several times. Heck should get the trade here. He does. So that's control of upper tunnels. He'll tell everyone, hey, no one's here. And they'll now try to collab. Oh, OC just saw that. Didn't blink for a second. He got the shot through the smoke, through the wall, Mike. And that will be Hex with the nade on Shane. It's a 4v2.
Now it's all falling apart. It's all falling apart for Getting Info. The aggressive play from NRG has worked out. Molotov forces Marky. Actually, somehow doesn't find his corner, but Marky still will take the opportunity to swing. So falls to Dia. 1v3. They know exactly where he is. Managed to pluck one away and survive with 3 whole points of health. How do you try and make this one work?
He doesn't have bomb, so yeah.
Has to brave into their crosshairs. But he does have the big green.
The setup's too strong, Mike. I don't see it.
Be a surprise, and indeed, it will not be coming through here. NRG, that is going to look, in retrospect, like a very commanding victory. It was a lot shakier than the stat line shows. So many of those rounds came down to 1v1s that probably shouldn't have. Getting Info absolutely had their opportunity.
Disciplined, you know. He did definitely get aggressive at times, but I think he's pulled back a lot on that type of play because obviously it was becoming a little predictable. But at the same time, like you said, Mike, if an opportunity presents itself, if there's a moment where that is called for, he will not shy away from taking those fights. And in general, on Mirage, you want to try to mix it up and get towards top mid as a CT sometimes to disrupt the setup for the Ts.
Oh. What? Okay, seems like it's all fine. Hopefully no more nitro moments. We saw one stutter on map 1. Fingers crossed we avoid any more. Hex jump spotting. This is Nitro with the dualies boosted up on the Ninja box. I feel like last night they played OC here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct.
Or if that was in the pistol, I believe it was. So this time, Fang's going to rumble George off of the catwalk. Do they expect Nitro tucked into the corner? Absolutely not. And it's going to cost them. Spots the player get over onto his bench as well.
There's
Nitro
no way.
just dismantles this site take that we're not ready.
Nitro was invincible in that round. He lifted his shield up and said, "Not today, sirs. I've got 2 guns and 30 bullets, and you only got 1 with 20, and that's not going to be enough." He just kept spamming away. Gets 2 immediately, and then invincible. Like I said, nothing could touch him. He had armor. 1-0 in favor of NRG. Plot armor, that is. Getting info. Going to go out here and not invest much at all. Fang's got the deagle, as he usually does in these types of rounds, and he's hoping he can connect with a headshot, but that will delay him further because an incendiary lands right at his feet and burns his toes. So he takes a few steps back.
You need your toes.
You do. They're important.
Like stepping on hot sand.
I never have. I imagine that's very uncomfortable.
You've never stepped on hot sand?
How hot are we talking about? Like at the beach? Well, I guess so, but that's not like...
You know, like when the sand's been baking in the sun and you have to run to get close to the surf because it's burning your soles?
I don't know that I've ever had that experience.
Have you ever been to a hot beach?
I've been to a beach.
Perhaps a hot beach in Canada.
No, it's not. I was in... Well, maybe I was too young to remember, Mike. That's probably what it is, because there aren't many beaches here.
No.
So, you know...
At least not the sandy kind.
Yeah.
This round is going to be a beach for NRG. Pull up a chair, put a little umbrella in your drink, kick back. Relaxing round.
Nobody's lost. And this is, I mean, quote unquote, a bonus round, but damn, 3 M4s and 2 FAMASs is fairly strong, and they've got that full util belt. Very cool to see how the FAMAS has worked its way into the meta, Mike, right? It's replaced the MP9 for a lot of teams. A lot of teams don't even run the MP9 in these cases. And they just go straight to the FAMAS. Gives you that range advantage. And just...
it's cheap now.
Yeah.
Or cheaper, rather. Got to keep it on. Heavy presence here on the ramp. Timely smoking a palace might just delay this. Got 1 player working through top mid. That's Fang. You got 3 players ready to explode up the ramp. And explode they shall. Here comes the util. Need the kills. Fang catches 1, taking out the stairs player, and that means as Nitro falls, there's not a whole lot more to this. Bro does connect on 1, but his death was a near certainty. And Fang following up through the murder hole means that this one is settled business. Hex will just try and save. That's a strong impact round from Fang, and a great way to get on the board for getting info.
That was an interesting setup for NRG. I think maybe a little too much forward positioning, right? I think they were hoping that getting info would overlook them and not expect 2 players underneath balcony, which they didn't, but they quickly disposed of Bro after he got 1. And then afterwards, I think they had 2 players that were trying to push through into the upper B tunnels or get at least positioning over into upper B tons. The problem is, you know, there's no one really watching from jungle. Yes, you had, you know, George lurking around from CT, but everyone else was so forward positioned that they didn't gain that range advantage that they could have, especially with the A1Ss. So, getting info, will win the first round for themselves. And we go into round number 4. NRG still have enough money to get those 4 A1Ss, but not enough to invest into the FAMAS, so Hex will settle for the MP9. This time it's more of a standard setup. I imagine that was a hard read of some kind for NRG now that I think about it. Just the way they were positioned towards ramp. Something they've seen on the tape, having watched past matches and seeing the first buy rounds for getting info. Either way, it didn't work out. And now that smoke has a very large gap at the top, intentional of course, since it's thrown by the CTs. And we wait.
We do. The round hangs in the balance. And now the balance will go tipping. And tipping the way of getting info. Their patience is rewarded. NRG could not resist.
Fang
Ball
with
is going to get planted.
Yep.
And this round is going to be over here, John.
It is. And Fang with an impressive 3K in that round. Last time they played up against each other on this map, Fang was at the top with 22 frags. Behind him by 2 was Marky at 20. And so far, so good for Fang. If he has another performance like that, I would imagine that getting info will either get a lot of rounds or take the win on this map and send us to the third. Still very early on, though. At the very least, getting info have rebuffed NRG in this round and secured a second. And Nitro's hoping to keep the A1S in his hands, but man, are getting info chasing aggressively. I don't think he survives this. No way, Nitro.
Double spray down. No. You didn't think it, John, but you should know it.
There's no way. There's no way. Yeah, okay.
Oh, he almost got away with that. He almost got away with that, playing Ringer on the Rosie with Dia. I mean, it's damage at least. Makes it a little more costly, but being as it'll be an eco here, getting info, don't really care about that.
Yeah, just a flashbang bought up in this round by Nitro, which with that in his hands, you never know. Could throw a ridiculous pop flash and the USPs will be effective, but I don't know about that because the USPs are stacked up toward the A site and getting info are going to the B site. So this is probably already over. Confirm.
I would say so. I would say so. I mean, there's nothing worth saving here. I guess theoretically you could take the one flashbang. So these USPs will try and isolate out some duels.
They could have one mid.
Fake could be vulnerable. But he does have an AK-47, and that makes you a little less vulnerable in most contexts.
And not to mention he's got 2 other players firing down from Cat, so he was actually perfectly fine. Anyway, very quick round for getting info. They get out to B, they plant the bomb, they kill everyone, and it's over. So they do take the lead for themselves. That said, NRG are back to a buy-up, a full buy this time, except for the AWP. They can't afford that yet. I'm sure they're going to want it. OC's very, very good on Mirage once he gets that op in his hands. But for now, he'll have to settle for the A1S. Usually playing towards mid-window, and that is exactly where he's postured right now.
Fang denied in this one. Looked like he was going to be good for it, but couldn't quite find the headshot through the fog of war. Marky, though, going to have no such trouble. Put in some work down range, and Shane following along with it means that this is a bomb plant. With the presence in towards middle, we know that Carson's here. George could find his path towards this retake compromised. Being careful about it, but making noise in the ladder has put Carson on high alert. It's going to be Hex instead, who tries to find an entrance, but doesn't seem to like the look. Nothing given over. They're going to pull the ripcord on this. They're going to save.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Positioning wasn't great after that initial take, but again, getting in for just winning these duels and charging into the site. That time it's Marky activating for a couple. NRG just nothing they could do, it seems. And now you have George and Hex who will get away. Looking at the money situation for getting info, it's actually really good. They could have chased more aggressively, just chose not to. We're going to see it again here. Just like with the MAC-10, right? From that range is ridiculous. He's just managing to do it with the SMG, and he's now got an AK-47 for himself. Grabbed that off the ground before the previous round ended. And looking at NRG, their money's not great. And yesterday, we obviously saw a very strong start from them here on their CT side. They got 5 rounds in a row to kick off the half, and that's really what made the scoreline closer than, honestly, it possibly should have been. Anyway, we're going to get back to that because Hex is going to get sprayed down. No, he actually wins the duel up against Dia. But yeah, as I was saying, it should have been probably even more one-sided for Blue Jays once things got going because of how NRG were really struggling once the gun rounds were in.
This round, though, does carry a lot of danger in it with the investment that we've seen come through. George can get something going here in the ladder position. He loves to play in here. And they've got a good idea of it, right? Molotov to burn him out to make him very uncomfortable indeed without a smoke himself. Stuck on the ladder. Inaccuracy is painful. And Fang had no such inaccuracy to deal with. You got Marky in the window. You got OC very stuck. Nothing to support him, but a quick kill onto Carson will make this a whole lot easier. If he got pinched from window at the same time, would have been in big trouble. As it is, he still might be, but he'll find some damage at least onto Marky for his efforts. Look at this from Nitro. Come all the way through top mid, and he's just going to miss the timing on it.
Maybe Bro can keep them there for long enough for Nitro. No, it's too late. I mean, now that Bro is there, in fact, it's Nitro's positioning is compromised. That said, they do all have guns now, and this is very viable on 3v3.
Yes, it
is. Bit of spam through the box, Mike.
There's still an HE on Nitro. Keep an eye on that for Marky's position. He's playing back by Firebox. If the nade finds the right spot, he's not going to get a chance to shoot, and here goes that nade. No, sorry. The other piece of util. There's the nade. Marky, gone. Shane.
Oh!
Putting in work. 2 headshots found into it with Haxton. Shane will stack all 3.
Okay, Shane. Oh, goodness me. 1v3 and makes it look easy. Isolates the 1v1s by his lonesome. Even though NRG were trying to overload, he wouldn't allow it. Unbelievable there. Shane has his moments and clutches, and there's one right there. 5-2 in favor of getting info, and NRG call a very needed timeout to try and figure out what the answer is right now to stop and getting info, because honestly, they played everything pretty well in that round, and it was just an eco. Would have been a huge win for them, a coup. But they fall just short, even with the upgraded rifles that they got off the ground. Well, getting info, have to be happy with the way things are going here. Fang
would imagine.
Yeah, and Fang's continuing to perform well, right? He's already up to 9.
Yeah, this is one of those maps that he really enjoys.
Yes.
His position, right? He's often that constant threat in towards middle. Sometimes when the team's doing one thing, he's the isolated player. We're seeing it again, taking that top mid position. He always seems to find the right moment to get out, and very sharp mechanics to handle those mid fights and rip heads. This time they're anticipating maybe a little bit of aggression. But Fang is going to take his comfortable position here at the top boxes. And once he's out here, he's loath to let go of this real estate. And some heavy apartments play. Smoke to block it off as Dia was going fishing with that AWP. But the hook will go unbaited for the moment. The worm has gotten away.
Hex anchoring down this B site as he often does.
I guess I accidentally made Hex the worm in that metaphor, didn't I?
You did.
Well, the question is, would NRG still love him if he were a worm?
Oh my god, I hate those things, Mike.
That's a question we'll have to answer another day. It does seem like getting in for a grouping for this B hit, and Fang has found a little bit of space here in the window. Bro's walking into it. Bro's got the idea on the clear. That is a nice kill to find. Makes it a little bit more comfortable for these B-site defenders. Hex going to be able to collect on the first spot. On the next, George can set up this crossfire. Bro gone. They still need to get through this. George knows he needs to make the aggressive move, and holding on to his ground to get right will look like its namesake.
George and Hex comboing there for the round victory, and they're two players that as soon as George joined the roster in NRG, it felt like they gelled immediately, right? I haven't necessarily seen those combos between them as often since that point, but right there is a great example of them working together and working off each other really, really well. And you see that NRG are able to get a third round because of it. Dia wants to get that opening shot off. Excuse me, OC wants to get the opening shot off towards window. But it's already smoked off, and he has to fall back. Getting in for all grouped up here for a potential quick pop in towards the B site. They wanted that opening frag on George. They wanted to get one prong off the board, but they don't do it. And now they're just going to try and charge in anyway. It is not looking pretty, but Hex does fall. And now George goes down to Dia. What a shot from Dia to support here. And now this looks much better.
Does indeed. You got the numbers. Well, that might have been a little bit of an aggressive move from Bro. Wanted to try and get the foothold, rather, on towards the site, and it costs him. Certainly going to be a save for these remaining two players. But look at Fang. He's already eager for the hunt. And in towards Palace. There's no way they expect him to be here this early. Nitro and Ramp at least should be safe from him, but OC might be in some peril.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. This is going to be really tough. He's really dead. Fang sprays him down. And Nitro does manage to get the trade, and he will save the M4, but the bigger piece, the AWP, is no longer available and no longer affordable into this next round. So this half starts to get more and more challenging for NRG.
Yeah, certainly OC's no stranger to playing on the rifles.
No, of course.
But
it's
going to be a big piece out of your arsenal.
For me, it's not so much that OC is not good at playing with rifles. He's very strong at it. It's just that the AWP on Mirage is a big piece to lose. It just gains you so many positional advantages if you can use it and deploy it properly.
Definitely the case. Jink into the back of a teammate's head, but it does result in a kill. OC down for the count. Whatever gun he might have, but George answers back in kind and then some. So now this mid presence has betrayed getting info. They went heavy with it, fast into the fray, and this time they emerge quite punished. That bomb needs to be retrieved, and NRG are giving them the space to do so. So the question becomes, if getting info can figure out their path towards the site, could find themselves with at least even numbers in towards one of these hits. And now with that kill, Carson opens things up. Nitro needs to put in some work, gets himself a little bit of safe haven, but a Molotov is going to make him very uncomfortable indeed. Smoke deployed to give him a tunnel, and he just avoids the HE for a moment, but Carson eventually realizes what he's got. The man advantage has evaporated. Carson has done great work evening this up, and now Hex collected as well. This round is just all Carson. Dia just needed to plant the bomb. His IGL is putting in the work. And it falls to George now. Carson with a reposition, trying to get in towards Pals where they may not expect him. Dia at the firebox. Waiting for that hop check. There's the no-scope, and Dia will connect. Took a dink himself, but that was enough. What a round for Carson.
That is unreal. real. That's a 2v4. Carson just maneuvering around the map so effectively, and we've talked about it before. He loves to play Mirage. He loves to get aggressive from whatever angle he can possibly take advantage of, and right there, I mean, also not to mention the smoke pop that he threw in order to gain that visibility, I think it was onto Nitro, is impressive. And he spotted out Nitro. Even though Nitro's on the right side, that didn't really get blown away, there was enough smoke gone that he sees the head and sprays it down and takes care of business, and then finds another kill right above the tip of the smoke onto Hex. So, yeah, well done from Carson. And he will get another one to open up this round. It is not oh, it is looking great, actually. George got 2 instantaneously. 4v3 in favor of NRG. That's the only rifle they have on the round. And George, sitting on that ladder, is still spamming forward. He knows there's players coming in his direction. The pistols are trying to connect, but it's Carson and Marky to try and settle things down. Carson down to 15, but he still re-peaks. Of course he does, and goes after OC.
Not a bad way to do. When things are getting chaotic, when things are getting a little helter-skelter, Carson tries to lock it down. Hext has got an op. She got in the big green, Hext. They're looking for you. You got the first. You spotted the second. Shot doesn't quite land. Able to get away. Stare peek out.
I think just
Fang will wisely plant this bomb.
No, he's going, of course.
He is going for it. There's only one more round to play. That op would be nice. No kid, of course.
Just save the OPEX.
Yeah. Didn't get what he was looking for. Now it's time to save the AWP.
Yeah. That is absolutely the right play. Even though I think they could afford it next round. Look at the money. Nitro at 1.5, Bro at 1.05. You got to keep this op and hand it over to OC so we can support the lower cash players. So there we go. This will be a pretty good buy now. At least they saving the op forward. Again, the close rounds this map are going in the direction of getting info, and you see the scoreline. I would even say it's more dominant from getting info here on Mirage than it was from NRG, because some of the rounds have been very convincing. But at the same time, when we're seeing those clutch situations, the 1v3 in particular from Shane, going the way of getting info. Can they keep it up both in this last round and into the next half is another question. NRG, OC's got the op drop for him. Everyone's got the util, the guns. Let's see what they can do. Last chance to make their mark on this half.
Shot goes wide. OCM will connect on the first face, and he's going to lose George as a result of that. Nade goes a little too deep. Now Marky's got what he wanted. Presence, a kill. He can back away here. Now it's all about this mid maneuver. And Bro wants a look, and this is exactly what Fang's waiting for, but he gets distracted, turns away at just the wrong moment. Bro on 1 HP out of that, and Nitro lost. Give them a chance, but it's going to have to be OC who capitalizes. A 1v3 required as his teammates have melted away. And the bomb is so very far. This should not be doable. Of course, there's no sense but to try. OC will connect on the first hurdle. That's Marky, who's now overcome. Swaps to the AK for that one-shot headshot potential. Up and over the stairs as he will surmount. Has the kit, has a smoke. If he can get this kill on the firebox player, a defuse suddenly becomes a possibility. Now there's one towards Palace. Needs to get on this stick, but this is going to be a prayer. This is going to be a Hail Mary. Here comes that stick. Certainly the spam's going to connect, and it will be a 9-3 half for getting info. Substantial is the word I'd use to say about the lead that Getting Info have here. NRG have quite a hill to climb. Getting Info looking very strong here on Mirage. And with a kill like that, Shane is looking to make short work of this second half and send us straight through to Anubis. So, map 3 is in the air. Let's see if NRG can say anything about it, bro. And George finding some damage, but it's still a numbers advantage.
And they lost bomb.
And they did, in fact, lose bomb. And Shane is sitting on that like a dragon guarding his horde. But George, well, he's a dragon slayer.
He's going to have to slay 3 of them in this round.
Bomb planted. That's the first step. Headshot connected, but can't quite find the kill. And at the end of the day, at the end of most fairy tales, I suspect the knight did, in fact, get eaten.
Only the bad ones.
Well, you know, his name was George, so...
What are you implying?
St. George and the Dragon?
Oh, George and the... Oh, no, I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of St. George and the Dragon?
No.
That's the iconic dragon killer.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
He's like the one.
Cool. I believe you.
Well, the dragons win this time around.
All right.
Perhaps to be expected.
Like most German fairy tales, I'd say.
Someone's been reading their Brothers Grimm. George, though, he's back for another tilt at this one. Windmills, dragons, whatever he can find. With space taken here, the bomb is going to be planted. Things are looking up in a big way for NRG. They committed a lot into this. This was a bit of a risk, and Shane showing why risks don't always pay off. They're trying to avoid him, trying to elude him, trying to take space here in towards jungle. Feng is anticipating a late mid presence, and indeed there was, but there was also a Nitro slipping into the jungle.
Oh no, they're gonna get...
Shane, they're just sticking this. He's been pulled off of it. He's been pulled off of it, and Marky didn't have the health for the sustained fight here, so NRG will get a chance here on Mirage.
I love the setup, though, there. They go for the stick. The smoke comes right afterwards. The thing is, NRG, and I think it was OC, just knew exactly where that bomb was planted and the angle it was being diffused at, and that was pretty straightforward, I want to say, in getting the frag, but certainly the round was not so. It was very difficult for NRG to close that one out, thanks to a great 2K from Shane again, who's had quite a mirage for himself, honestly. 14 frags ahead of everyone else in the server. Fang slowed down a lot, but Shane picked up the pace. Nitro gets the opener onto Dia. NRG trying to shut down this force buy from getting info and then get themselves back into this match.
Shane, hoping that he has enough frames to spot this crucial piece of information. And also that they don't have enough frames to shoot him for it. Well, there's the info. He goes unshot. So it's looking good right now, and Dia plucks away the first. Shane will be gone. Marky eliminated, but the mid presence is gone, and that means Dia can fight back in here. OC needs to get this bomb out of apps. Wanted one more kill to do it. Now loath to give up the high ground. For a moment was thinking, hey, I'll make my teammate plant. And George said, bro, are you kidding? I'm controlling market here.
Yeah.
So the bomb is now down. Unfortunately, they've kind of wound up in the same position.
This is not great.
Yeah, I think they know. I think Carson knows. This is a very awkward way to defend this site. So OC's going to get active and try and get himself away from that, but the trade is instant. Do they realize George is also tucked? Now they do. Now they do. And Carson, swinging about the site, will find the kill to put them over on towards 11.
Wow. That's tough, honestly. A bit of miscommunication twice there, right? OC throws the bomb down, and George is nowhere close, so he realizes, okay, I can't hold apartments anymore. I'm going to have to plant that bomb. And because he goes down towards site, then they both end up in the same position at bench, which is the worst case scenario, honestly. OC tries to get out of there, and getting a frag in that situation is actually pretty good. It's just that he couldn't get back to cover. There were too many bodies, too many potentials for trades to come through. And getting info are right back to their winning ways. 11 on the board, 2 more, and we're headed to Anubis. NRG might ratchet up the pace here. They've got the AKs out. Not really slowing up on their approach to the B site. I mean, Hext is just balling out here.
Trying to get out of the utility, but it leaves him isolated from his teammates, and so isolated he will die. Marky withstands the onslaught of one Hext. A lot of mid presence being shown here, but only from one man. It's just from Bro. At least right now, getting info and adjusting too hard to it, but that could be an issue. No, Marky able to deal with it. Numbers a little down. OC needs this kill. Needs it quick, and he will have it. The bomb's dropped. The bomb is committed. They've got Bro coming up the catwalk. They're gonna have to shoot their way through the site. And that's exactly what they'll do. It falls to Carson, who's coming up cap, but he's coming up late. With a bomb getting planted. That he can't deny. What can Carson do here? He's had a tremendous map.
He has. He could definitely isolate a couple of 1v1s here.
Spots one anticipates the swing from the next. Getting towards the door for that swing, and Bro will find the timing as Carson sweeps left and right. We're not done yet.
And the money's bad for getting info because that was 1 round victory in between a couple of NRG ones. So you see here, 4 USPs, P2K. I don't even know. I mean, probably want to call a timeout maybe to think things over. We'll see. But this was not that bad of a start, honestly, for getting info. It's just OC, once he gets that bench player, he's able to, he allows his teammate to push up from Cat and isolate the last player on that bomb site. Getting info, decide that, nope, no investment at all here, aside from a Deagle and armor for Shane. They are gearing up for that next round. So, for all intents and purposes, it should, emphasis on should, be an 8th round victory for NRG. Seen a lot of crazy eco and force spy rounds, especially as of late. So you really never know.
Yeah. I feel like I know.
Do you, Mike?
But you never know. Until you know.
Then you know. Or do you?
Or do you know? Unless what I know and what you know, is it what everybody knows?
Or it could be completely false and no one knows anything.
Are any of us even real? Well, Carson has really experienced the brunt end of the Hext. Site is compromised, and now I really do feel like I know. Confirmed information.
I still don't know.
There's a word for this. Epistemology. There we go.
Wait,
Epistemology. What? It's the branch of philosophy examining the nature, origin, and limits of knowledge. How do you know things?
Oh. Okay.
So there you go, John. We were just talking about epistemology that whole time.
That's
not
amazing.
just rambling the words of madmen.
We are philosophers.
That's what I often say about us on a Counter-Strike broadcast. Philosophizing. And teachers as well. Hopefully someone in chat has just learned the word epistemology.
Exactly.
Pique their interest. I think, therefore I am, and all that. Kind of the reverse. I am, and therefore I think. That's a tautology now.
I actually learned another new word the other day, Mike, and I wasn't really aware of it. Initialism.
Initialism.
Yes. So, what is NRG to you? Is it an acronym, right? No?
Sure. Okay.
It's not. See, an acronym is a word. So laser is an acronym because you say it as a word. But if you say the letters individually, it's an initialism.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Good to know. NRG is, in fact,
An
an
initialism.
initialism. There we go.
There you
Let's
go.
see if they can initiatalism their way in towards a bomb site here. They'd like to. Marky is not interested. He charges a steep price for entrance into the connector. Yeah, buddy, you don't have your ticket. I'm gonna need to see some ID. And bro has shown him ID. But Shane has traded that out. Hex gained some space in towards jungle. They're trying to plant the bomb, but Shane's going to come through the smoke to try and deny that. George punishes Hex, follows it up, and suddenly things are looking a lot better for old NRG. Let's see if Fang can tip the scales back. Tia playing in from Khan. No one's exactly looking his way, but Hex is giving him the slip in towards jungle. And Fang is panicking. Wondering which way they should look. There's no kit. So as these bodies start to drop, Fang just needs to get on the stick right now if he's going to do it. And the answer is no.
Well done. Good job by NRG. Hext, in particular, getting an important 2K and OC at the end, closing the door, and they find themselves in ninth. They reset getting info again, and now this is creeping up on getting info, looking like double digits for NRG. By the way, Mike, I actually just realized, does NRG actually stand for anything? Like, do the letters themselves have meaning? Do we know this?
I think it's like just energy.
Like energy? Okay, then it isn't an
Energy.
initialism. I just want to make a correction for all of chat. Because each letter has to have meaning. So it has to be a sentence, like FBI. That's an initialism. I just want to make sure we're not bad teachers today, Mike.
Okay. Good to know.
All right. Well, that being said, getting
Trying to
back
find the
into
origins
things.
of the NRG name, how they came
Yeah.
up with it. But Shane is bringing plenty of energy into the server right now. Deagle to try and put them on a map point. He's picked up an AK now, but a little bit too wide on the pillar. May still have done enough. This bomb's trying to get planted, but Nitro's so low.
That was
It's going to have to be
crazy.
OC to be the hero here. Smoke fading. OC better get on the trigger quick, and he's done exactly that. Dia on approach finds the dink. They're so very low. And it's a panic.
my
OC doesn't know where to
God.
put the Molotov. He didn't throw it. Nitro, that's a huge kill to find, but OC, these bullets have to be perfect now. It's all headshots, and Dia with the drive-by will take him out of play on ego. You never
Mike.
know, do you, John?
How many big rounds has Shane had so far on Mirage, right? He had that 1v3 right here. He gets 2 with the Deagle. Unbelievable frags at that. Didn't expect anything to come of it, and he makes something out of literally nothing. 12-9 in favor of getting info. NRG, it looked like a round that they should have had for all intents and purposes. And again, it was just up against the pistols. It was a round they almost should have had in every way. And now, a 3-round deficit. They do have AKs once more. The bomb plant bolstering their economy enough to get a buy up here. In fact, bomb plant didn't even matter. They had enough money regardless. It's just that their backs are up against the wall now in a 3-round deficit. Did you find the origins of NRG, Mike?
I have not. I have not found it. I stopped looking. I took a cursory look at the About section of their website, and that was as in-depth as this research project was going. Because we've got Counter-Strike to talk about here, John.
We do.
We've got a map to cast and a round that Getting Info would like to close. This has been getting uncomfortably close for them, I think. It was looking dominant for a time, and you might as well end things here. No reason to let NRG build back into this. Bro, though, in the window, has collected on Fang. Cost of much of his health. But that's a cost he's going to be willing to spend.
Yeah, and also he gets a ton of space in the map as well, right? He gets all of window room into jungle. Shane does manage to get one back onto Hex. He's been anchoring down B very effectively. He's still alive here. Finally, George isolates him. Bro gets Carson, and we have a 3v1. Dia, the last one standing all the way over at the A site.
The crazy thing is, if we look at this, right, Dia's going to save, almost certainly.
Yeah.
But if we look at the health, George on 1 HP. Bro on 12. Nitro's at half. The stage is set. There's just not enough time. Is there? There might be. Dia's thinking about it now. Closing the gap, closing the distance. That was ambitious from Bro. This player backbench. Does Dia clear it? He's making a lot of noise and shots in the back. Nitro was calm, cool, and collected to make sure that one didn't get away from them.
Yeah, and you look at the money here for getting info. It is good for Shane, Fang, and Dia, but Carson and Marky will be more limited if they go for the buy-up. So the choice becomes, do they force up here and go for it or wait another round? They already answered that as I was talking. They are going to force up. AWP for Dia, 2 M4s, MP9 is what Shane is settling for, and Carson... Okay, he's got enough for an MP9 and utility as well. So actually, it's not too shabby, but there are limitations here. NRG. If you win this round, it feels like, I want to say overtime, feels like a certainty, but we can't forget that Getting Info did win their eco round a couple rounds ago. Good trade coming through there from Bro, but he takes a lot of damage in the engagements, which will give the edge technically to Getting Info here health-wise.
This deep angle from Dia might give them a whole lot more. How far does he want to push this? How far does he want to press? No farther than he's currently got. That does mean he's a little bit exposed towards Catwalk, but he's trusting Marky's control here. He's going to be rewarded for that trust. Gun barrel spotted. Oof. Pro out of play. George trying to make some noise here out on the palace. Does mean that Dia is very isolated, at least for the moment, but NRG aren't collapsing upon this. Instead, they're trying to reroute. And this is really weird. Carson's in the palace. He's going to hear this rotation in from Nitro. He's going to have all the information. Or at least a good chunk of it.
I think he probably hears George too, definitely now.
This is going to be way ahead of anything that they expect. Carson, does he wait for 2? Doesn't even need to. Collecting on that kill, I mean, this is impossible now. There's just no time. This round is getting away from them. OC was completely sectioned away from his teammates as the clock expires. It's all over. Getting Info 13 to 10. NRG, they mount that comeback, but it's not enough here, John.
No, it really isn't. And a great effort, but that eco round ended up being the difference maker where Shane got that 2K, and afterwards it was a drive-by with the 5-7 info. They don't care about the major. They're not going to be there. They care about this. They want to try and advance in the upper bracket and upset NRG.
They care about the dub.
Oh, yeah. But also, Mike, looking back on that previous matchup, Carson was really big in that too. He had 20 frags. He was a large reason why, Getting Info were able to get those 10 rounds, and he was just very good on Mirage, so maybe he carries that over here.
And keeping an eye on the other games, Nouns have claimed it, so the upper final will be against that Nouns squad, a squad that's undergoing some changes of late. Been playing with Momo.
Magi. No, they're playing with Magi. And Nomix.
Okay. Well, they played their game tonight with Momo.
Did they really?
They did,
oh,
indeed.
There might be roster limitations
but
in
kills
ESL.
coming on in here. Getting Info have drawn first blood. That bomb is planted. NRG losing the numbers here. Let's see what they can tilt the other way. Shane looking for it. It's just going to be left to George. He's getting run down. He's getting overwhelmed. And well, they are chasing him. Someone's going to need to get on the defuse, and that'll be Shane. Comfortable pistol round coming through here. The interesting news with that announced victory is that Junior is headed off to fill in for Complexity, with Halzerk apparently unable to secure a visa in time for the major. So eyes on Junior.
Yeah, so I just checked, and you are obviously correct, Mike. So they're playing with the usual players. I'd say Momo subbing in here in ESL because I don't believe they had any roster change. They can't make any roster changes, right, because they're in the playoffs. But they will be moving forward with Magi and Nomis in the future, and also they're changing their name to Moneyball.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting indeed. This one, very interesting if you're a Getting Info fan, because they've just very quickly stuffed what NRG were attempting to do. Damage down middle, a peek out of the E-box, and 2 players removed from the server early on. George and Bro, that dynamic duo, are going to have to take a dynamic seat on the bench. Swing from Carson, that was honestly a little bit of a risk, and he is eventually punished for it.
Okay.
Guns can be gained here, and the window peek was called out by Hex, but he didn't have the gun to find the kill. Khalil limited him. It's left to Nitro in the clutch. One player is knocked low from that aforementioned duel into the window, but the other 2 are going to prove tough tests to overcome.
Yes.
50 seconds to make magic happen here, John. It is just 1 player in defensive A.
The problem is the health, I would say, for Nitro, right? Doing down to 44 HP. Maybe he can catch Shane looking the wrong way.
Maybe.
And that is very much a possibility here.
Mid is technically open, so Shane does have to be wary of it. Diaz coming close on this A main flank. And now that they know, now Diaz should be the key piece to make sure that this goes their way. Just trying to buy time. Nitro's trying to stick this down, but Dia finds the perfect timing to find the flank, to find his 3rd kill of the round, and to find a 2nd for Getting Info.
Right as the smoke is about to bloom, comes around that corner. You put it aptly, Mike. The perfect timing for him to shut the door. So Getting Info, push back NRG, don't allow the force buy to have more impact, and do get their 2nd round on the board. Trying to get revenge or Getting Info for that major qualifier match where NRG stole it away from them. Carson pushing up. Ooh, nice shot, but a better one from OC with that deagle to trade things out. Thing is, OC was almost a victim himself. He's down to 2 HP. What is happening here? How did Dia go down to 5 HP? Just spam through the smoke from NRG.
Better be very careful about which smokes you stand behind with these deagles on the server. Whew. Smokes aren't walls. Bullets pass through them very effectively. Still, that's completely unconfirmed damage.
Absolutely.
They have no clue they did this damage to Dia. What kind of utilities here on Shane? Just a smoke, a couple flashes for the guys in heaven. It's just pistols. Reminder, only 1 player even has armor. But here comes the swing, and Shane could not connect the shot. This is a bomb plant looking to be confirmed, and Hex with an extra kill means that this might just be a round.
What?
He's still low. Hex is the only one with this armor. A quick kill on Marky would be a complete scale tipper, and he's found the tank. Marky's now low. Dancing around the cake. It falls to Marky in a 1v2. This is pistols, a P250. And Hex with a dance just needs to connect one more shot. He'll do so. He's pulled it through. The 1 man with armor. It was enough. How on earth is this the round that gets NRG on the board?
You know, I mean, look, Carson made that initial push to get that frag and then gets traded out. They don't actually end up recovering the MP9, I don't believe. And they just go out with the pistols towards the A site, and somehow, some way, you know, picking off a couple of players and getting that bomb planted, they managed to do it. Marky tried to come around that corner and do more damage, but it was just the pistols that were razor sharp with the headshots. And NRG went around they really weren't supposed to at all. So maybe they're going to have their turn to have a critical round victory. to tilt things in their favor, as did getting info over on Mirage. Still very early on, of course. Only the third round of play, but look what it's done to the getting info economy. Nothing available for them. 5-7, 2 Deagles, 2 USPs. George spamming the smoke. NRG a chance. Yeah, it really is. It really, really is.
Glocks! Well, P250 did a lot
It was
of work.
P250. Yeah.
Glocks! Spiritually, Glocks. Spirit of Days is out there somewhere.
I would hope so.
George will have no issues of his own. Actually got Dia into a little bit of a TK situation. No reason to give up this isolated gun, so he won't. Instead, they will be funneling their way in towards the B-bomb site, dealing with what little presence there was, and planting down that C4. Carson all this while has been trying to figure out where George got to. His old teammate from some rosters ago. And he can't find the reunion that he craves. Gonna find the business end of Bro instead, and Nitro will dispatch of Fang. We are knotted up early here on Anubis.
Yep, NRG disposing of getting info's eco. Here come the guns once more, and I mean, look, just pistols, and there was a TK in the mix there, as they were just trying to spam away towards George. But as it stands, NRG not fussed at all. Now getting info. No op available for DN. Actually having to settle for the FAMAS is not great. But 4A1S is available there. What else is not great is the lack of utility, right? Only 3 smokes, now only 2 left after this initial toss of them. Hext going to find the opener as well onto Carson. Shane taking down a 79. All of a sudden, NRG round victory here means that getting info would be in trouble economically, and then the lead would get extended to 2 before they knew it.
This is an interesting position for Fang. I don't think it's going to be expected.
Perhaps.
But by that same token, there's already a player past him, so what kind of value can he actually get out of it is a big question. Gonna find the pinch here. Now they know. Out of bullets.
Oh my god, look at Shane!
There in the nick of time to bail him out, to save him there. And so all this presence in towards mid doesn't matter. A Jot, Bro traded. NRG stalling out in the canals. And getting info will sink them.
Honestly, that position, although Fang isn't the one to get the majority of the frags, it's enough to attract the attention of NRG and allow Shane to have the perfect timing push outside of A main to get 3. Like, we're probably going to see it again here. Yeah, see, he disrupts enough, gets 1, and then Shane's like, okay, I will just pop around the corner here. No one's really watching. And take care of business. 3-2 for getting info, and it felt like it would be the other way around. That said, NRG did have a bit of a buffer in terms of economy, so another buy is coming through, and OC has the AWP. Damage already done. Util coming out here. I believe that was out of A main. Getting info. Well, takes some damage of their own. Marky eats a nade down to 48. Shots are rattling off, but not really connecting with anything. Bro spots a player. It's a jiggle peek for information. Maybe some util will come out of that, and it does. There's the smoke for bridge. NRG are now going to dip their toes into A main. Very quickly. Oh my gosh.
We'll chop some toes off. George, though, he can grow toes, actually. They're webbed, but you know he can grow them back. Dia... he's got the toe chopper. He's got the control, and it falls to a 2v2. Dink onto Bro. Make that just a clutch up for Nitro. Gonna get the bomb planted. Let's see if Nitro is capable of the task. Bring over the cake from out the smoke like Batman. That's the wrong superhero for this, man. They'll stack up, and Fang will find the headshot through his teammate's legs. A pogo jumping Marky was not enough to distract. Time for the defuse on, and getting info firmly in the lead once more.
Yeah, that buy-up only yielded the bomb plan. Here, Hex just walking out, trying to go for a quick fight. Didn't expect Fang, I believe, to be that close, and he pays the price. He's getting info. Do a great job as well on that retake. So what does NRG bring to the table this time? George, Hero AK. All right. We'll see where that one goes. A little bit of body armor, a little bit of utility, some pistol upgrades. How do you deploy this? Last time NRG had the pistols, even less in fact, they came out with the round victory. It was towards that A site, and that is exactly where they're headed again this time. Molotov burning away, in fact incendiary burning away, and it's already gone. Not much presence on A either.
Carson will just back to try and fix that fact. They don't have a ton of utility to stall this out either, so they are going to have to concede this site. Question is, how much do they want to brawl for it? Shane holding on towards Heaven will allow the retake to come through, but this bomb's going to get planted, and well, we saw the last time Pistols had a lot of control on this site. Things got weird. Pro, looking to make them weird once more. Oh, he snatched his second with the P250. These players are not tagged up, though. George has an AK. He's ticking. And a timely Molotov as Markey is being a bit more diligent about this. The rifle would be the big piece, but no. This time the pistols will not be enough. They make it interesting. They get the bomb plant, but a round is out of their grasp.
I mean, pretty consistently getting bomb plants, so that's the good news for NRG. The bad news is they could be the ones up 5-2 right now.
The really bad news is that this is Anubis.
Yes.
And so getting info being 5-2 means that this is not how this map is supposed to go.
No.
One of the most key-sided maps in the pool right now.
We have seen those instances, though, Mike, where both teams have unusually good CT sides. So if this does end up going very much in favor of getting info, then maybe NRG are going to deliver the same thing. That being said, usually when you have that strong CT side, you go to T side and just mop things up very quickly. Oh, man. Tactical timeout being called by NRG because they're probably realizing the exact same thing we are. This is not trending good for Anubis. We can see the close-up here. 1,936 frags on that AK.
It's a lot.
That is a big
number. See if you can add a few more. Dia playing the Pixel here. In middle, will eventually decide to adjust away. NRG are playing a more patient game with this, seeing if some aggression is going to come through from getting info. It's kind of the meta on this Anubis map, but getting info have been pretty successful playing retake, especially on towards the A site, so they're content to maybe sit a bit further back than some other teams. Speaking of mid control, NRG are beginning to take some space here, John.
Yeah, they found the gap in the defense, which is good news for them. 3 players stacked up towards the B site. Could quickly get into their faces if they rotate through Palace. Bro's waiting here, and he loses the fight against Markey. OC does manage the instant trade. They were actually waiting for that, so to lose Bro is kind of not good news. Waiting towards... Yeah, but there's a player pillar who could also catch him off guard. Carson has a chance to be huge here. Oh my gosh, they're not going to clear him at all, Mike. They're not clearing him at all! Carson at 3K! 2v1 now for getting info, and it is done.
Done indeed. Settle business. Carson with the impact rounds, much as he was doing over on Mirage, now bringing it through here in towards Anubis. So focused on dealing with that player Glyph. They had the Molotov, they had the triple swing, that nobody had responsibility for this pillar player. It's a super exposed spot, especially when you know there's B-main presence. So you could understand why NRG overlooked it, but Carson took a risk, and this time it paid off in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought they were going to throw the Molotov pillar. That's what I expected, just to make sure no one was there. But I understand throwing a glyph, that's the logical play in a lot of instances. Pillar was completely forgotten about. Dia opening frag onto Hex. This is turning into a slaughter in favor of getting info on their CT side. OC down to 2 HP. Smoke pop. Yeah, I mean, it's done. This round is over.
You don't believe in the Nitro 1v5 with the Deagle.
Sorry. I forgot about the Nitro 1v5 with the Deagle. That always comes through.
The salvage Deagle that he picked up off of his teammate's body. There's the first. That's how it started. A quick duel onto the Opera over the smoke. Spam. Not connecting. That's just to bait you. Make you think maybe he doesn't have it, but he actually has it the whole time because he's got the bomb on his belt. And so he's got options. He's wary that a flank could be coming through because he's just got the awareness to know that the timing could be here. But what he doesn't know is that there is no flank. There is no spoon. In fact, all the spoons, they're in the cutlery drawer. And all the CTs, they were on B site, but that's changing now. Shane has broken away, recognizing that time could be such, and, well, into Carson's crosshair he goes. So the 1v5 will not be happening today.
The most surprising of news. 7-2 in favor of getting info. That was a nice shot, though. At the very least.
We do like nice shots here.
We do.
In our Counter-Strike broadcast.
Another timeout being called here. Already used 2 of 3, and that's because things are completely unraveling on Anubis right now for NRG. I want to look back at that previous match for a second. And
somehow doubt that getting info had a dominant CT side.
They did not. They did not.
They
had
highly unusual. Honestly, 5 rounds ain't bad.
That's pretty good. I was going to say, 5 rounds is actually pretty good. But
7 rounds is better.
Way better.
The math checks out here, John. This is looking very good for getting info. If you're NRG, you need to win out. But
Mike, NRG got 6 rounds on their CT side last time. So maybe there's something here.
A nade pop in towards the smoke in middle. They're looking to take this space. They've had this a few times. It hasn't always rewarded them. And this time it's Dia who's waiting with bated breath. Hungry for someone to beat him into the crosshair. Well, and there it will be. So the first meal claimed. As Dia finds George. There's an interesting moment here where no one was actually looking camera. Obviously, impossible for NRG to know, but there was a moment of vulnerability here for the site defense. Dia has now adjusted onto it, but he's getting run down. Dia gone. A follow-up as well, and NRG might have just found their footing at a critical juncture.
Yeah, not to mention a lot of these rounds, despite getting info being up 7-2, have been close, so the economy is still a little fragile, especially for Marky and Dia. So I don't know if getting info chased this. I think they just saved their guns, and yeah, that is absolutely the call. There's just no real path in to that A site. So well done. I mean, look, like you said, there was a moment of vulnerability into camera, and NRG ended up having to do it the hard way with facing off head-on in that fight. But do what they do, and they will manage to get a 3rd round.
A bit of an exchange here at the tail end. Hex forced forward. This one gets expensive, but it is only Marky who survives with that rifle for the getting info side. There's money on Fang, there's money on Carson, there's money on Shane. It should be all right.
I think it's okay.
It should be just fine. Only 2 rounds left in this half, and NRG need both.
Yeah.
Don't want to be too dramatic here, folks. They really need both.
No, they do. They do. You're not being dramatic, Mike. If getting info, get one more round. If it's 8-4 at the half, it's still an exceptionally difficult comeback for NRG. Even though they were relatively good on their CT side, where they're asking for a lot of themselves to come back from 8-4. Or even 9-3. Oof. Let's not think about that.
Whatever number it could be. Whatever number it could be. Fang, he likes that 9-3 number. But might just be a 9-5 because he's clocking out the late shift. That's too much to ask. Bomb planted on down. And with the clear out from OC into B main, that means that Getting Info are going to tuck tail and run.
Wow, this is explosive. Where was this before from NRG? They look so good now on these takes. Before towards the A side, now into B. Nitro, clinical on that AK shot to the head of Dia, and then follows it up with another for Shane. 2-for-1 special there. In fact, 4-for-1 special for Nitro on the round. As NRG do indeed find that fourth, and it'll probably be the fifth that you asked of them, Mike.
Unless.
They
have lost some interesting rounds already.
They have.
Certainly they have lost some interesting rounds this season. Repeat trend at times for this NRG team. Can't do it here. Be a terrible pace to go into the half with. Seems like they want to go for an explosive play in towards B. Here comes the util. Counters on, and Fang connects on the deagle. That drops the bomb forward. They are fully committed now. It was the bomb as the first piece.
Oh, boy.
And this could be a problem. Fang wants to close the gap, wants to get close up. Bro next through. Why are they going one at a time is the big question here. Hex might be able to clean up this player on the flank. At this point, they might as well hit the pause button because they are in big trouble. Carson has eluded Hex, and he is getting ever closer. They're not going to expect this with Hex move in towards Temple. How much damage can Carson do? What can he find?
This is tough.
Let's go to Carson Cam. Carson Cam, please. Carson Cam. There we go. He's right here. But Hex will get the first. Carson, an assassination. Only finds the tune of 1, but they can run down the op. And it all falls to Hex. Takes the first. All right, 2 kills to his name. He needs 4. This is a victory by elimination, or it's no victory at all. Trying to find these isolated fights around this smoke, but it's desperation here. And it smells putrid. A strong, dominant half for Getting Info, and it might just be enough. We'll be right back. We are back for the final half of Counter-Strike in this matchup, and if NRG don't find their footing very quickly, it could be a quick one altogether. NRG have their work cut out for them. Getting info, have to be thrilled with how that first half went. And with a dink already onto OC, they're starting off this pistol round well. There was a lot of presence revealed. That's going to rotate a third player over in Nitro. And you're starting to get the aggressive flank developing here in Hext and George. They're going to find contact. The bomb's right over here in the hands of Marky. It's Shane to hold the line. When they try and press the gap, now they're going to move. Bro, first kill. That's going to be critical. Staying alive here in E-Box, huge. Nitro collects as they cross. And now just Shane flanked up. Run down. They can't give this back to him. They have control of the bomb. There's no reason to duel. And that must be what they've just called, because a little bit more discipline is being enforced here. Shane waiting for that peak. Waiting for them to overextend, and it will be no such case. 1 HP for Bro, but 3 kills to the name. He's walking away with that pistol.
Yeah, OC and Bro got lucky to survive their engagements, and really great job of from Nitro to get those frags, and it really tipped the scales in favor of NRG. 5th round on the board. They survive for now. This is what happened last time on their CT side when they started it off here on Anubis against Getting Info. They got pistol, they got the next 2, which means that it could be 8-7 very quickly, but that is deceptive. Because once the guns come out on T-side Anubis, things really do change in favor of those twos. All right, Bro's going to tap away here. The entire magazine. Didn't want those bullets. Ooh, George, oh boy. On to Shane. Nice headshot. Marky's really low as well. George and Hext are just chewing through them. Dia, nice shot. Could get a follow-up. No. Hext denies that as well. 2K for him and 2 for George. It means that Marky is alone here. Doesn't have the bomb either.
No. And if you're looking at this round at the beginning, you're saying, oh, this got to be a gimme. Based on what we've seen so far this map. No. No round is a gimme. It's actually insane when you think about it that NRG only won 4 rounds in that first half with that crazy pistol eco. Actually mind-boggling. That was a truly rough half of Counter-Strike for them.
They just couldn't win the anti-ecos at all. Every time they were in a position to start taking control of the half, they lost them. Twice. The 2 critical ones gone. Even on the tail end, right? It's not good. It's not a good look, but it's not done yet. They could have a strong CT side too, like I said before. Getting Info have the guns out now. 4 AKs in the Galil. Good chunk of util as well. NRG getting aggressive into A main. Hext. Along with OC, pushing out into what could be a crossfire, and one falls. Will the other as well? Yes. Uh-oh. This is not a great start for NRG in the round. Already a 5v3.
There wasn't a flash there to catch. I think there was thrown one from George, but it got ducked. Someone was playing anti. Whatever it was, these players were not blind. So that aggressive attempt from NRG spells disaster. And now Bro's got to be the hero. They are circling his sight. They are putting the pressure on, turning the screws. George is coming to support. They're trying to gamble. They might as well at that point, but it needs a huge multiplay, and that's just not going to happen. George, perhaps unexpected, but that's only going to net him 1 kill.
Yeah, great work from Getting Info after finding that opening those opening 2 frags. They immediately rotate back towards the B site, snowball in as a unit, and leave NRG with literally 0 breathing room to try and come back into it. So it will be 9-6 in favor of Getting Info. The last timeout is being called for NRG. They cannot be feeling good about it now, about everything that's been going on. Look, they will have a buy-up come through here. 4 M4s, but George doesn't have a rifle. He only has that pistol. And the limited utility for OC, George, and Nitro also poses a problem, especially on the other end. You have Getting Info with everyone, except for Shane, having a full belt of utility.
But do they have shark repellent in there?
Shark repellent.
That's what you got to have in your utility belt. If you have a full utility belt.
Why? Sorry. Why shark repellent, Mike?
In case you need to repel a shark, John, obviously.
You just punch a shark in the
name.
face. That's all you got to do.
All you got to do, he says. Ridiculous.
I'm sorry, Mike. How could I forget shark repellent?
Adam West would be ashamed. Molotov exchange here, E to A main. George wants to get a little bit of vision down middle. See how far he takes this. Set up some util to do so. Maybe threaten the window peek here is the idea behind this smoke. Make no spam for it. To be clear, that aspect of it has worked. But here comes that aggressive play. This time it catches. Hex able to get himself an upgrade. And suddenly there's a lot of information here, but can they move the numbers in time?
Oh.
Good job for Dia not killing his teammate. They're going to take this through Temple.
It's a B finish, yeah.
Threatening B with that lurking towards B main and Markey. Could work out quite well. They got some control CT as well. I think it's a good response from Nitro to try and take this aggressive space. But he does have to contend with Markey. Good flash. Excellent kill. And the site is cleaned on off. This is double digits, all but guaranteed. But OC wants to give this a try. There's no kit. He's gonna have to do quick work. And George, to his credit, is doing exactly that. Still, actually getting this bomb stuck down. The player B main can't really do anything about this. It's not planted for him. And now they've killed CT. They need to just stick this. They need to just stick this. Markey is totally out of position, and he knows it. He's just trying to pull him off the defuse, but even if he finds his kill, he just doesn't have the time. And so the round is going to be snatched away. There will be no guns living through, but the round is there for NRG.
What a ballsy play from OC, right? Some teams would have just pulled the plug and said, you know what? It's a 2v3. We can't do this. We're not going to be able to... 2v4, excuse me. We can't do this. We can't get back into it. And OC pops out and says, nah, let's do it. Let's try it. Finds the opener, calls in for the reinforcements. They get two, and it just looked like it was never in doubt at that point. Like you said, it wasn't planted for B main, so Markey needed to get a move on sooner. I just think he didn't expect them to go and stick to defusal in that situation and thought he had more time. But once things started to get a little quiet, he said, oh, this could be bad. Peeks around that corner, only gets the one, and can't get the bomb diffuser in time. So NRG literally steal one away. I say literally. They stole one away from getting info. So that is a coup for them.
A massive one. But if they can't capitalize in this following round, it may all be for naught. Still a couple kills. That goes a long way. Fang tagged up as well off of the molly. The nade will bring him very low indeed. Need some more kills. There's lots of bodies here for the defense. NRG, they have the numbers on site. And that top of the bomb is going to prompt a whole lot of spam. Shot's not connecting just yet. But lead going down range is a risk indeed. This time the stick goes in. You're going to be able to get it. Dia out of play. And now, sorry, Dia is actually the only one still standing.
What a self-flash.
Oh. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't take it all the way, John. But he got so very close. Still by the tips of their fingers, John. NRG are clinging to life.
Like, that's 4 rounds CT side for NRG already. 4-1 in the half. Not too shabby at all. I mean, it got a little hairy. That's what I said. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get these CT, strong CT has from both teams. It hasn't, though, by the way, guys. Mike's just making a joke. If you're not aware.
They should be aware by now. It's been a long series.
Yeah, that's true.
They're getting used to me.
More than likely. Not just in this series, Mike, just overall over the last few years.
We're in a few at this point.
Indeed.
I've been hanging around here a long time. These and their parts, and Carson isn't wasting any time in this round. We're 30 seconds in, and Carson has cleared out A and triggered the save for NRG. And here's where these incredibly close rounds now become quite painful. You don't have any money to spare here, John.
You took the words out of my mouth, Mike. Yeah, it's really bad. You look at the money, everyone below 1,000, even though NRG have been winning 4 rounds here in this half, they have been so difficult to come by those round victories that right here they have to get as far away as possible from getting info. Even though getting info want nothing to do with this either, because they're also very short on money. But still, keeping those guns up is extremely important because it makes next round a lot more viable. Especially considering I'd be surprised if Hex and George even invest into it. Although they are technically economy-wise on a double eco. I guess you could justify the force. It's tough to say, Mike. Yeah, they're going to go for it.
We've seen them pull it off with pistols before. This time they got an MP9. They've got tons of util.
I mean, I have to say I agree with it because if you like getting info, even get this 11th without much of a fight, then you're already only 2 steps away from losing the map. And it's Anubis. Any CT momentum that you lose is very, very costly.
Quiet moment here in the server. Now punctuated by the percussion of the rifles. Space being taken here by NRG. Look at this. They're grouping up with 4 to take this mid control. There's no one here from getting info. They've been holding really far back. And what that does mean is that NRG is going to see that there's nothing behind this. How do they read and react? George is wary that a player could be in smoke, but there's no player to be found. Instead, the bulk of this thrust is poised to go A main, but they've left their options open. 40 seconds. Getting info or really not telegraphing their hand, and it seems like it's going to be a late B take. If there were any more defensive utility, this could be really bad. But waiting this long means there's not. And the player Glyph, Nitro, he's going to reveal himself at just the right time. 20 seconds. 20 seconds here, John. This is getting very tense. This player's flying up E-box. They know where Nitro is now. But Nitro continues to collect. And now Fang, he just doesn't have the time anymore. He doesn't have the clock for this. They'll toy with him. Because he's not getting this bomb planted down, and they know it. Dancing around the pillar, Nitro deals the death blow. And the gap closes to just 1 round.
Fantastic. I mean, getting info honestly needed to go a little bit sooner in that round. They tried to pincer in towards the A side, but look, only 25 seconds left. Fang gets an important one, but Nitro, absolutely critical frag that comes through, and he's supported by his teammate exceptionally well. After that, they leave Fang on an island by himself with only 10 seconds left to try to make something happen, and toying with them is a perfect description, honestly. They were just jiggling around pillar, around Glyph, into E-box, everything. They gave him absolutely nothing to work with, and then at the end, he just falls in a heap. That, though, is a very nice nade and a follow-up as well. Markey, mortar strike onto Bro, and George is down to 33. He has to retreat. OC does close the gap around mid, finding the trade. Pressure is on.
Balance of this map hangs on a knife's edge. Bombs picked up. We saw this late approach in towards B. They're going a little bit quicker this time around. Well, a bit quicker, actually. Problem with that is there's still a lot of utility on this site. The money has gotten a bit healthier. That has yielded dividends. So Molotov comes in at an unfortunate time for getting info. And now their own nadage is quite limited. Flashbang. Well, that was enough to get them off the angle. Nitro sprays down 3. Ignites here, and Nitro keeping this site in the grasp of his team when they need him most. He's stepping up back-to-back multi-kill rounds, and we are tied up here as the game goes late.
Nitro hits the afterburners, and he just lights them up. 4K for him, 10 to 10, as you mentioned, all knotted up here. This is just absolute insane impact from the IGL, from Captain America. 20 frags on the board. Once more, he's taking that torch and carrying it across the finish line. Seemingly, and George, he wants to get on the action too. 4K spray down. Hasn't been able to have much of an impact on this map, but wow, it's just an anti-eco. Still, for it to be convincing like that is important.
Builds a little bit of confidence sometimes for a player who's been having a whisper quiet game. Look, even if you're just barking against pistols, you're still barking. And sometimes just got a little bit of that feeling back of the mouse hand can go a long way. A lead for NRG. I cannot say that this is what I had in mind when we swapped sides after an 8-4 CT half for getting info. Can't say they imagined it either.
I did tell you they got 6 rounds last time on CT side, Mike.
That is a very different ballgame to this.
It is. It is.
The margin for error was slim here.
Yes.
But they're putting in the work. And that work might just see them through towards an upper bracket matchup against the Nouns. Neither of these teams will be eliminated, but down in the lowers, it's Legacy. Not an appetizing prospect, I'd imagine. Bro, though, collecting onto 2. They can't get past him. Fang finds 1. Bro, no chance to reload, but the sidearm will be enough. Could get his hands on a rifle. Eventually overwhelmed, but he's done such work. They're all coming in through CT. And that nade, does it find home? He's so low. He's so low, but Carson's able to slip away. Numbers punched in on that C4. The Glyph player annihilated, and there's only so many spots Carson could have slipped away to.
And they've
got a Molotov.
Yep.
And they don't even need it.
Wow. Bro changing places with Nitro and doing pretty much the same thing. I felt like he would even potentially repeat it and get a 4K with that pistol. The sidearm out. There was a low player charging down on him. He just couldn't track him. Either way, NRG, it was 8-4 in favor of getting info. 8 rounds for getting info on their CT side. And NRG have just matched that. And now they have 2 map points available to them. And series points. Wow.
Truly a wild turn of events here. But however you do it, the tough ones taste all that much sweeter for the effort. One more round to close it here. And OC will connect. The first blow. Getting info, trying to take this aggressive A play. Look at Nitro coming in for the backstop. He's found the cubby. We saw Fang have massive impact from this position in the previous half. This time, though, it's a fight. It's a brawl. OC continues to connect these shots, and the bodies are dropping one by one. It all falls to Dia, and it's not going to happen. NRG, they complete the comeback. A wild turn of events here on Anubis, where the CT side dominates, and NRG move on for a matchup with Nouns in that upper bracket.